Can everybody see us?
Yeah, probably take my glasses off my head. Hey everyone, we are doing a surprise live. Well, not such a surprise because I announced it over there on TikTok. But let's see if we can get a few people logged on here. We're still trying to figure out the YouTube live. Maybe we're going to close this window too.
You can see you moving around.
This might be a little bit better.
You can see us live.
There we go. How's everybody doing today? We're going to wait for a few people to log on. Oh my gosh, we are picking up some people now.
With Insta headshots, you can elevate your
Cory's got his stuff going on.
Down.
So we're still in the process of doing we are making a studio right now, and we are still in the process of that. And thought we could maybe record in the studio today, but we don't have it quite done yet where we can take our computers in there and have it done. Hey, Kim. Hey, from Illinois. Yay. Hey, Gina. Thanks. Oh, I'm so glad you finally made a live. We're going to start doing a lot more lives on YouTube. We've just been trying to create our studio. And finally, all of our equipment got here today. So, yeah, well, some of our equipment got here today. So we've been trying to get it set up. So we figured we would hurry and jump on and answer a few questions about polygamy. I've been having a ton of comments. Oh, we have somebody on here from England. Right on.
Becky.
Hi. I actually know a lot of people from England because there's a polygamous group in England. So, yeah. Oh, and my mom's on. Thanks, Mom. So, yeah, my mom's on here. So, I'm going to put her on the spot. And if you have any questions for a polygamous wife who has been a polygamous wife for 50 years, she's on here. And I'd be happy to filter those questions for her. Hey, from New York. So good to see you guys. We still don't know how to schedule lives on YouTube. We're still learning that part. But it's been a crazy week this week in real estate for us, trying to get ready for the holidays. We have family coming in tonight that will be here for the next 10 days, something like that.
Then Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And so we are just trying to get our house ready, getting everything else ready, and wrap up business as much as we can too for the holidays. So.
Can you guys hear us? Are we echoey? Thank you, whoever sent us that awesome mic. So I've got a mic now too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
One of our viewers, Laura, she sent us a microphone. So now Cory's got his own mic, but we don't know how to hook it up yet. So we're sharing a mic again today, but I have it right in front of Cory since he talks so quietly. So somebody says, does your father discuss his marriage to your mom, or your mom needs general with you? Sometimes, yes, my dad has confided in me being the oldest. I feel like he does talk to me a lot more about things that he wouldn't normally talk to any of the other kids about, or any of his other kids, just because I have a really close relationship with my mom. And then so I feel like he will come to me and ask me certain things and confide in me. Maybe not so much anymore because I've taken such a huge step back, and now that I've gone so public, I don't know that he'll trust me with a lot of that stuff anymore. But yeah, we've had more of we definitely have not had a father-daughter relationship per se, but he will definitely confide in me a lot more than I would say any of the other kids when it comes to my mom.
Does he discuss the marriage of him and your mother with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what your question is. Does he discuss his marriage with my mom to me? Yes, I've definitely had conversations like that with him. Not his other marriages, though. He doesn't really talk to me about his other marriages. Kim says, I've heard people are sometimes scared to leave polygamy because of extended family. Do you think Mary and Janelle finally left because they didn't feel the pressure since both of them have recently lost their mothers? I think that has a lot to do with it, to be honest. You don't want to disappoint people that you love and care about. And so I feel like it's easier to leave religion if some of those people that, let's say, would normally be on your back about being a certain way are no longer there. So I definitely think that that's can be it. I wanted to.
That expectation to please your parents is always there. So
yeah.
So even though you don't please them, and they might have been disappointed in your choices, the reason you got excommunicated. So, but they still love you. So
yeah. Holy crap! I made a live finally. The Mother of Baggins, great name. Yay! I'm so glad you made a live. We've been trying to do a lot more YouTube lives, and we thought we were going to do a lot more this week. And our regular day jobs have been
super busy,
crazy this week.
So been a good couple of weeks in real estate. So
yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. There's a question on my YouTube post that I wanted to ask, or I wanted to engage with, but I can't find it now. So I'll have to go back to that. Somebody had asked me a question, and I wanted to get to that one on our lives, and I didn't get it.
Hi, Bill. Yeah, no, we are not polygamous at all. We were just kids that grew up in a polygamous community.
Yeah,
so,
we were both born and raised into it.
Yeah,
the mother
never practiced it as adults. So
my ex-husband and I actually courted a girl. She was 16, however, I was 18 and he was 26. And so I backed out of that when I found out I was pregnant with my second child with him. And so I backed out of that courtship. And then we never actually entered into polygamy after that. But I was married in the polygamous temple, and I was the first wife. So I never actually had a sister wife, just did it. And I just recently found some home videos of a date that we went on with her. So
I guess I didn't read that all the way. What are independent polygamists? Does that mean they are polygamous not for religious reason, but other reasons? Probably they are religiously getting married in polygamy based on the belief systems they have. The only reason that they'd be considered independent is because they are not following. They're not following a living prophet. They don't follow anybody as a prophet. They're just living. They practice itself for their religious beliefs, and they're doing it independently of a whole group.
Yeah, they just don't believe that there's a leadership that they have to report to or go to.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I've been all over Reddit telling folks to come see you guys. Well, thank you.
Yes,
we appreciate it. So we have a goal with this channel of hitting 10,000 followers before the end of the year. And so, we appreciate all the support and all the shares that you guys can do.
Yeah.
And now that we've wrapped up so much of our day jobs right now, we're definitely going to be coming live on here more. And our studio is almost done. So we're going to be recording some podcast style conversations between the two of us and go over. So that way we can answer some of the questions that people have more in depth. Because on these lives, we can answer like quick questions, but when we do a podcast style, we can go into a lot more depth of some of our experiences living or being born and raised in polygamy. Let's see, what percentage of polygamous families coexist like the former Brown setup? The individual households that you've mentioned before. So we grew up in two totally different households. I grew up all of the mothers had their own homes until I was 16. And then we all doubled up into my dad double dipped each wife on my 16th birthday. We all started living together, which we had never done before. Well, we had done, but not consistently. And so I grew up in the city, the suburbs, and every wife had their own home. And so then Cory grew up differently.
Yeah, my family grew up in one great big house, and then we did have a smaller cabin next door. But he had 9 wives and 39 kids living in the 2 houses right next door to each other, all on the same property. So yeah, Man, my eyes are watering. These lights are bright.
We just got a new set of lights, so we're trying to use those too
Yeah.
to try to maybe help some of our facial whatevers. It's not working. Let's see. So yeah, a lot of people do coexist like that, where they do have one household. And it's not as big as the Browns. Like the Brown house where they lived in Lehigh was really big. We know exactly. I've been there a few times, and it was a pretty bigger home. A lot of polygamists won't. They don't have. I think it's about 50-50, where you get kind of some that just have these really small homes, 2,000 square feet, which is not a small home. But when you're putting 3 to 5 families in it, that's really small space. But most of them will build these little McMansions where you've got like 8,000 square feet. Let's see. Does Robyn come from polygamy? She claims to have, but I've seen some reports suggesting her mom was a side woman. Yeah, she came from polygamy. Cory grew up down the street from her.
Yeah, she might have been young when they came in there, but her mother and her bio dad came into the AUB and lived up there in Pinesdale. And then he took a second wife, and right after that, her mother got a release and married her stepdad, I think. So
yeah,
who then became a polygamist because then he had 2 wives.
And
so
from what we have been told, that Robyn's mom and her new sister wife were friends before they got married. They were next door neighbors. And then Robyn's mom got a divorce from her bio dad, who was a polygamist as well, and then remarried her stepdad. And they
then became a polygamist.
So she made him up. She was the second wife. And the thing that I think the reason
they lived in the community too.
Yeah.
So that was his first polygamist marriage.
Yeah.
But he'd been in the community for years. So
yeah, so I think that's why people think that she was a side chick, which is funny. But in the polygamous community, it's very common for a husband to have a wife in Montana, a wife in Utah, a wife in Mexico. You know, my ex-father-in-law had one in Montana, Utah, and Mexico. My father-in-law was from Mexico. And so my kids are Hispanic. And so it was very common for him to have a wife down in Mexico in the colony, and then here in Salt Lake, and then Montana. So it's very common. I know for the rest of the world that might seem weird, like, oh, she's just a side chick in another city, but that's not really how it works.
So you'll hear us use terms like the colony, usually means the Mexico community, the ranch, which is the Pinesdale community, and then I don't know, what do you guys call yourself down here?
I don't know. I don't know that
the group.
We've always just called it the group. Yeah. And just FYI, my mom is on this live, and I'm happy to ask her some questions, and she can text me the answers if she wants to participate. But my my dad, we can do a quick intro too. So we were both born and raised in the polygamous group, the AUB, or the Apostolic United Brethern. My lazy tongue just says apostolic. And my dad's the current prophet. We have never lived polygamy together, at all. And, but we were both born and raised into it.
Yeah. You were married into
I was married into it the first time.
And I was raised in it. My mom was a second wife, so I was raised with the dogma, everything in the church, and then I got excommunicated later in my adult.
Here a little bit more.
When I became 18, I left the AUB, and I was excommunicated and asked not to come onto priesthood property, and I've disobeyed that.
Dozens of times.
And still go up and visit my family.
Yeah.
So, and I'm getting on here a lot just to talk to my family that is still a part of the AUB. That, I mean, it's safe out here. Come on out into the world. And I have kept that connection with my family, because if any of my family ever has wanted to leave, which most of them have.
Yeah. A good
we've
portion
always
of them.
been an open house for them to transition from leaving the AUB, then to go and
Right.
creating their life out here in the
Right.
out here in the world with us Gentiles now.
So somebody's on here from Australia. Thank you. We're trying
Yes,
to do
thank you.
more. Most of our lives have been in the evening, and we are getting people from all over the world click onto our lives. And so we are wanting to get, we're trying to do some more daytime lives so that we can have people from everywhere be on here. So I'm so glad you made it. Thank you. Hi from Australia. I'm so glad I made a live session. Question, is your dad softening on the rules as he gets older? I don't know, because I feel like some rules are more implemented than others. And so I wouldn't say that he's softening on the rules at all. I would just say that some rules are more of a priority than others are, but I wouldn't say that he necessarily softening. Podcasts with specific topics would be awesome. I'm looking forward to Cory dishing on the fallout of Robyn's father. I know so many people want to know that, which is so funny to me.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to pull up some of the audio because there's some audio recordings on that. And that's got to be public record.
No, it's not.
Because it went over the radio waves.
I don't. No, it didn't.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. Do you think even if polygamy was legalized to protect the women's interest, the women's interest would actually be protected? Or would they be kept in the dark, still not knowing that they have rights? Yes, well, and yes.
Yes. I think there would be a level of protection, but I also think that in this day and age, they're being allowed. One of the things that the sister wives did is kind of allowed the polygamous community to watch movies, watch shows like that to see what other families were doing. And so,
yeah, TV was very forbidden.
Yeah,
a lot
when we grew up,
when we were growing up,
we didn't have. Yeah, we got to watch videos. We never got to watch live TV.
I actually didn't let my kids watch live television either. We didn't have cable or anything like that. I only let them watch videos. And it's funny, a lot of Disney, which is still propaganda. But yeah, my kids only remember having DVD or videos. Thanks, Karen, you made it live. Woohoo! I'm so happy. What would you say to someone considering a polygamous relationship today? Run. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if you.
Yeah, my mom says run.
Yeah. If you want to try it and stuff, definitely learn as much as you can about it, but it's not a healthy environment. So
I love
from
that.
a kid's point of view, it's not a healthy environment to be raised in.
Yeah. So my mom's in the process of leaving my dad right now. So there is okay, come on, you got to lean over this way. There's parts of our office that we don't want in the live. And so we have to, even though we're in front of the window, we still have to try to keep turned a little bit. Melanie, how did you feel about the counting process while it was happening? You're not supposed to feel jealous, or the courting probably. You're not supposed to feel jealousy. Were you enough to feel idealistic, or was it a struggle? It was actually both for me. And the reason why is because she was so young. She was 16 and she turned 17 during that courtship. And I was 18 and my ex-husband was 26. And it was really hard. Like, there's nothing like telling your husband, go buy her a dozen roses for her 17th birthday. Now I can't even fathom doing that. But back then, that's what felt like that was normal. That was like real life for me. And what was hard for me is that she was dating several other people at the same time. And but her father wanted her to marry my husband. And so that made it a little bit harder for that reason. And so I actually ended up getting in an argument with her father over it because of that. So it was hard. And then when I found out and it's different too, because my ex-husband didn't love me. I was a trophy for him. That was it. He didn't really care about me or love me. And so I could have probably shared him a little bit easier. It probably would have been a relief for me to have him gone, where Cory would be totally different. Like, I would not share well.
She does get relieved when I'm gone sometimes, though, too.
That's not true. I always get sad when you leave.
Thanks, Nova. Thanks for, if you guys can like this, I think this is.
Oh, do we we don't know about Facebook Lives if we like them or not.
Well, this is YouTube.
Oh, We're on, Facebook. Did I say Facebook?
Yep.
Yeah, YouTube, sorry.
From Canada.
Yeah, and so I
And
never
Germany.
felt enough. My ex-husband was really verbally abusive to me. I mean, I'm 17, had a baby, and just the thing, he told me how fat I was all the time, told me how I needed to lose more weight. I mean, one of the things, I'm putting together a video right now about the lists that these men give their wives, because you heard this on this last episode, that Cody would give Mary these lists
Of sister wives.
of sister wives. I apologize. My brain, I have ADD, and my brain will go through a bunch of stuff, and I don't always verbalize it.
Yeah, she thinks she said it, but then she just skips some important parts in there.
Yeah, and so
Me too.
one of the things Mary was saying is that Cody would make her a list of all the things that she needed to do. And so I'm actually putting together a video right now on that, because that is very true. That happens all the time, where these men will put together these lists. If you only did ... then we could have a really good relationship. But if you can't do these things, then we can't have a good relationship. And I can't love you the way I want to, because you're not doing the things I need you to do. And so that's where, that's what my ex-husband would do to me all the time. And so I could have probably shared him a lot more. It probably would have been a relief to get him out than it would have been to not. Although we only had a 1,500 square foot house, and he wanted to move her into that. So that could have been challenging in and of itself. So glad that didn't happen. Kathy says, I love watching you two. I want to hear about plant meds. I've been taking tea and tinctures every day for years, 14 different herb roots and berries. Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
We're actually going to do that in a podcast style, because, and then once we do the podcast and we release it, we'll do a live Q&A, but we have to restrict it to 18 and older, so that we're not getting any sort of, any sort of penalties. Love from Australia. Yay. I love that we have so many people on here. Canada, Germany.
Too,
oh
yeah.
my gosh. Thank you guys. Finally caught y'all live. Hello from Michigan. Hi, Amber. Thanks for being here. Adriana, hi from Germany. I've been to Germany once, and it was through the airport. Never actually left the airport, and it was intense.
That's on my to-do list. So my grandfather was from Germany. So.
Yeah, Cory has very close roots. And Kathy's in Canada. Thank you. Julianne says, did your families do holidays together as one large family or separate? One on Christmas Eve, one on Christmas Day, and one next week, for example. Our families are very similar in that regard. We always did them together.
Yep.
We would all go over to one of the mother's homes, and we would all do Christmas together. We had like a primary home that was one that my dad bought when I think I was 2 when he bought it. And so that was like the primary home that we would go to quite often. And because all the wives had their own homes. And Cory's, they just go upstairs into the main living room.
Yeah, it was the big house. So we did everything. And that's where
they literally called it the big house.
The big house and the cabin is what we called them. And so everybody come over to the big house, and we would do Christmas, Thanksgivings. We had a huge dining room.
Yeah.
Lots of tables. So yeah. Family get-togethers for all the holidays. So
yeah, and we always did too. So when you, I hate to keep referring to sister wives but that's what people know. And so when you've seen those episodes where they do those huge holiday dinners where they have rows and rows of tables, that was literally our holidays too. And well, I got married a week after I turned 17, and I got married in June. And I remember being devastated, because how am I going to spend the holidays? And here my new husband was like, yeah, we're not spending it with your family. And so we literally woke up Christmas morning, and it was all I could do to get out of we had a little apartment, and we jumped in the car, and I was like 20 minutes away to my parents' house as fast as I could, because it was hard for me to spend that first Christmas without everyone. Mm-hmm. So when you see some of these kids on TV have that melancholy yearning type thing for family, it's true. It's very true. Let's see. Can you explain the afterlife for polygamists, please? Do they go to heaven? Oh gosh, that's a loaded question just right there. Do they go to heaven? Is it true they become a god of their own planet? If so, is it just a man and his wives on that whole planet? Oh gosh, that's a whole mouthful right there.
Yeah.
And we have Vicky from Australia. Thanks, Vicky, for being here. Oh, and we have Lynn from Australia. FYI, it's 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning here, so the time is great for us in Australia. Oh,
Nice.
yay. So, peaceful pastors, thank you for that question. That is a very loaded question, and I can give you like a condensed version of what we were taught. And that would require like a whole podcast because that's a big thing. So, you want to take that one away, or do you want me to?
Well, yeah, it is complicated, and I don't know, they teach. But yes, if you make it to the highest degree of glory, and there's three degrees, well, there's 3 degrees of glory, and if you make it to the highest degrees of glory with your wives, then yes, you will get a planet or learn how to create your own planet, bring everything together, and then you will be the steward God over that planet. And your spirit children that you and your wives have created will then come down and occupy that planet. So
yeah,
that is the teachings. So
yeah,
that's their belief system.
Yeah.
The way I understood it from 35 years ago, being raised in it. So
yeah. So, and I mean, that's a really sticky subject because not everybody believes that. And they don't teach it regularly. You have to be like in an advanced course to get that lesson. So it's not something that is readily talked about or taught over the pulpit at church. And the pulpit is where they, broadcast their message. Somebody says, I'm really looking forward to hear about your whole love story. I love watching the energy between the two of you. And I would love to know how you two got to who you are today. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, we are actually working on that right now. So we have put together, because we'll probably do it in a few part series because it's a story and we love it. And it, we've been through our ups and downs of finding each other, and then me begging him to marry me, and then through our divorce, and then getting back and then finding each other again after a few years and getting back together. So yeah, I'm excited to tell that story too. It's an interesting one. It's cool to see other fellow European Sister Wives fans here. Yeah, we have a lot of people from the European continent here. One reason people believe Robyn's mom was a side piece is Alice, Robyn's mom, had to wait for their holiday, and the other mom and kids got the actual holiday according to Robyn on the show. So I can see how some people might have done that if, let's say he just went, I don't know. Every family dynamic is different.
Yeah.
So I can see that happening if the two women decided they just didn't want to share the holiday together anymore. Now, the other wife only had 2 children. So where Robyn's mom had 7 or 8, I don't know how many she had.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And so I can see where Cory's got a smirk on his face because he has a story about this since he knew these people. I did not know them. I was raised with Christine and Mary. And Cory was raised by Robyn.
I wasn't raised in the same area as Robyn. Okay. I wasn't raised by Robyn.
Cory has some feelings about Robyn. Okay.
I got real tears. No, it probably just a sob story that she was telling. I don't know. It might have happened once. I don't know all the details on it, but for a while they were in different states. So if he's at one, and they probably, I don't know the details. So.
Oh, Kathy says, I skipped right over her question. Oh, shoot. Let me go back. Let me find it. I am in Canada. Oh, thanks, Kathy. Sorry, these go by so fast. I apologize for that.
Did she have a question?
Did you have a question? Pop that back up here if you do. Oh, right there. I love watching you too. I want to hear about the plant medicines. Oh, yeah. No, we will do a video on that. We just can't talk about that on a live. If we talk about it on a live, our account will get restricted. So we can't talk about that kind of stuff unless we restrict our live to 18 years or older.
Well, then it's got to go through a check too.
Right. And so those are harder things to talk about on lives. That's why we want to create a podcast around them.
Mhm.
Because we did do a live the other night and we started openly talking about it and it got flagged. So we just need to be really careful about not talking about those things live, but we can do podcasts on them. So if you wanted, my email is in my bio. If you wanted to shoot me off some of the questions you might have when we're filming that podcast, we can get to those questions for sure. Because I definitely want to answer as many questions as we can. I think the point is that a different family dynamic where the plural wives live together and get to see how the husband is treating them differently or not because they live apart. Yeah, that's a huge one. My mom is on here and they all lived separately and then they went and got themselves a compound and now they can see each other. She's probably laughing at me because she doesn't like it called a compound, but it is a compound.
That is the truth, because when they're all living together, they get to see how each wife is treated, different or the same from the husband, where when they're separate, they really can't see that. And so it does cause a lot more conflict. There was a lot of conflict growing up in the community that we did, a lot more conflict than probably her family. They lived in little monogamous groups the way she did.
My dad had like 4 monogamous marriages, not really a polygamous family. Only on Sundays.
That's how my parents put it. Those people that live in separate homes. And that's why the reason we had the cabin, he didn't even want to have them in the cabin, but we outgrew the big house. So while we had the big house, nobody moved into the cabin until we outgrew the big house and had to, but we all got together for dinners, meals, everything like that.
And they grew up in Montana and they had weapons. These women should not have lived together. We have some stories about that that are so funny. We're going to absolutely tell those stories. So we definitely want to get to your questions and answer.
Flour, dough, those kind of weapons. So there's food fights.
There was food fights between some of the women. They were not nice to each other. And so I think maybe they missed Christmas once with him and then it's just a fun story to tell as a victim. I don't know.
Or, to be honest, they probably had Christmas separate most of the time.
Yeah. Let's see. Robyn never experienced the family dynamic of multiple wives living together, yet she always pretended to be an expert. That was one of the things that really bothered me at watching the very first season is she literally talked over all of these women who had been living this way for 16 years before she came along. Like she was the only one in the room who knew what she was doing. And my mom's on here and she can attest to this, that I had a mother that was just like that. She's the only one, because she was born and raised in polygamy. She was the only one who knew how to live polygamy and the rest of them were amateurs.
And none of my mothers were royalty, and they were all learning from scratch. So we never had royalty within our family.
Yeah.
Dad married 9 women that none of them were inside the group when he married. Their families weren't inside the group. They either came from out in the world, the Gentile, or my mother came from the Mormon faith. I think the next wife came from the Mormon faith. They were just looking into the polygamy part of it. So. Right.
Somebody says, release the coding list. That's hilarious. And unfortunately, and then someone else says, this happens in normal world marriages too.
Yeah.
My ex gave me a list. I think the difference is that if you're not following this list, then your husband goes to some other woman's bedroom and sleeps with some other woman and not you, if you're not complying and doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're in harmony. So I think that's the biggest difference, is that literally if you want to fulfill this list because you don't want your husband to not ever stay the night with you when he's staying the night with, multiple other women.
See, you got to be nicer to your sister wife. All right. Hi.
Maybe tell that not to do the dishes the wrong way. I don't know what they're fighting about. They fight about everything. Amanda Ray from the Order said that they would always talk about it being better if you didn't love your husband, so you wouldn't be jealous when he left or missed him too much. I agree with that. And that's how I felt with my first husband. I didn't have a lot of jealousy because I just wasn't as deeply in love. I didn't know what love actually meant. And so I understand when Cody says that, but at the same time, I still think he's full of shit. But I didn't know what it meant to truly be in love because I only knew what I saw. And so I could totally share him and be fine with it. The mother of Baggins says, like the video, everyone. Thank you. That's so nice of you.
Thank you.
The first live. Thanks, Clucking Hen. I'm so glad we got you here on the live. Everyone hit the like button, says Lisa. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Let's see. Odd Irene says love from Norway. Oh my gosh. We have so many countries on here. I'm here for all the content. Thank you, Rachel. That's awesome. Let's see. Let me come back up here. Did you ever watch the South Park episode about Joseph Smith and Mormonism? Hi from Germany. Hi, Dina.
Yes.
Yes.
So accurate. So, yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very, very much. So,
yeah.
a lot of my mother's family don't enjoy that.
They don't
humor.
appreciate the humor the way we do.
They're still in the Mormon church.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my mom is on here if anyone has questions. I'm trying to catch up on the questions now because I know we talk a lot. Cody and Robin's planet will just be a bunch of bad art depicting outer darkness. They don't know this. And empty Amazon boxes. Robin will forever be opening them in vain.
Well,
that could probably be a form of hell, just opening boxes that are empty.
Cody and Robin, unless they get start over, won't have, based on their beliefs, won't have a planet in heaven.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
They'll be in normal heaven with the rest of us heathens.
Yeah.
So
is there supposed to be a clear hierarchy among the co-wives depending on the marriage order or the ability to produce children? There's not. It's actually, you're supposed to have equality all the way across the board, but it never happens. I have not once ever in my lifetime seen that happen.
There's some queens and priestesses. I think that's right.
Yeah, queen. Yeah,
and
I'm a priestess. Yeah.
Disobedient or disobedient wives, or
a wayward
wives.
Yeah, they're wayward wives and they're wayward
and that's
children.
The classification, depending on how queen and priestess you are versus how wayward you are. So
very true.
There's some rankings.
Very true. Rachel says, I'm here for all the content. Thank you. Shirley says, I'm late, but hi from North Carolina. Hi, Shirley. Sarah says, Robin's stepdad was literally in the room during the birth of her children. Is that normal? No. I would
not
never.
In my family. Not in my family. I don't think my dad ever went into any of his children's birth. But
never. I would never have even my dad be in the room with me. That is not normal at all. And I mean, to each their own. Everyone has their own birthing plan, and to each their own. It's just not normally something that I've ever really seen happen.
Sometimes the men will come in to give a blessing, but usually it's not during the birth, if you will.
Right. If a woman is in duress or the child's in duress or whatever, I don't want to take those off of our lives. But then they'll come in and the men will come in and give a priesthood blessing to that woman. But no, that's not normal. I have not heard of that happening.
Yeah. Not during the process.
Yeah. Linda says it's human nature to like one person more than another. And that's very true. And that's why you'll see, like, I'm sorry, if you're kind of being an asshole to your husband, why would he want to spend the night with you when he could go over here to this other woman who's doting all over him and treating him like her best customer?
Yeah. Talking to my mom earlier, and yes, we grew up, but my perception of who might have been the favorite wife, it changed all the time. It depended on what each wife was going through, and so there'd be sometimes that one wife would be more obedient, more in communication with dad, and so he'd like to hang out with them a lot more than somebody he was always arguing with. So.
Yeah. So
and they kept most of that from The arguments between my dad and mothers were kind of kept on the down low. They would do that in private. It was the arguments between the mothers that we would get to see. So
Yeah.
it was exciting.
Yeah. The arguments between the husband and the wife tend to go into the bedroom or somewhere more private. It's the wives that go after each other. And that's where you see some of the arguments. And I apologize. It looks like our chat, we got disconnected for just a minute. And while it was trying to reconnect, so we might have lost some of the questions. So if we don't get to your question, make sure you ask us again. Ohio is here. Thanks, Stephanie.
Yes.
Rio Pacific says Joseph Smith in 1884 told the priesthood that to obey the higher law, they must have at least 3 wives at the same time, and anything to the contrary was damned lie. Is Cody still in accordance? No. And you're supposed to, there's actually more to that.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be 3 wives in harmony with you, where they are, they're happy and their lives are happy. And it's not just, oh, I'm going to go marry this woman and then I'm going to go marry this woman. And then, oh, these 2 women don't know about this woman. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 3 women in harmony with each other and their husband is my understanding. Now, my mom is on the chat and she can text me an answer if she wants to answer that a little bit deeper. Yeah. I love Mother Dragons. You are awesome. Hilarious. Victim, Robyn comes from a long line of sacred cows. Okay, that was probably one of the best comments I've ever seen Janelle make. Mm-hmm. Janelle just started a t-shirt line, and I really think that she needs to make a t-shirt about that. She sold out, so she started a t-shirt line and had one called the Teflon Queen.
Nice.
And it sold out, boom, just like that. I'm like, we're going to start a t-shirt line, and Cory's going to do king curls, and then what was the other one?
I don't.
Lot lizard.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to do that one. Diesel jeans.
I'm a diesel jeans.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Julianne says, yes, I also think Cory and Melanie should react to the South Park episode about Joseph Smith. Oh my gosh. So I had never watched an episode of South Park ever. And my child watched it and was like, Mom, you've got to watch this. And so he's 32 now and he is obsessed with that.
Yeah, I watched it all the time.
Yeah. Belle says, when there is a pregnancy or a big announcement, for example, is it normal for the wife to tell the husband first and then the family? Can a husband and plural wife have secrets? Oh, all the time. All the time they have secrets. My mom, like I said, is on the chat and maybe she will chime in on that. But like my dad married one of his wives legally and didn't tell, my mom didn't find out for months after. And that's a pretty big secret to not let the rest of your wives in on. So yeah, they do have secrets all the time. And unfortunately, this creates an us versus them mentality which is then takes the harmony flow out of your relationship because now it's us versus them. We have a secret together that no one else knows. So therefore you love me more. And I see this cattiness all the time between women in plural marriage where that's why soulmates are so important. I did a video on soulmates and that's why the soulmate concept is so important. And is because that means that you have something special that none of the other women share. So if you can have a secret like pregnancy, now one of the problems with pregnancy is the minute that you make that announcement, I'm pregnant, all the other wives start doing the math of which night you got pregnant. There's just no way around it. I don't know one of my friends that has lived polygamy that has not done that has openly admitted the minute that they found out their sister wives were pregnant, they went back and did the math. Oh, so they might have gotten pregnant on this and this just to torture themselves with jealousy. If my grandmother had not become pregnant, they would have moved with friends who were Mormon to Utah. Ooh, yeah, you could be a polygamist, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What is Cody trying to tell us when he calls Robyn shy? Oh, that's the question I was trying to get to. There was a question, and I'm sorry, I was holding off answering it on one of my YouTube videos because I wanted to answer it on the live. That was can you decipher Cody language? I think honestly, he's just trying to rebrand themselves, in my opinion, because they have such a bad reputation online. And so they're just trying to PR correct things. And there's a lot of speculation. Well, it's not speculation because it's on video, it's on TV, of her level of aggressiveness towards people. And so they're trying to pull that back and make her look more
The
kind.
scene from Princess Bride where he's like, the word you're using, I don't think you understand how it's being used right, always comes up
Whenever he
when I
says
saw
she's
that,
fine.
I'm like, oh my gosh, dude.
I do not think
Grab
you
a
know what that word
dictionary.
means.
Yeah, grab a dictionary on what shy actually means.
Right. Oh my gosh. So no, I don't think that. I think he's just really trying to rebrand her as not being aggressive. Since COVID, all the parishioners in any religion has gone down because people didn't go back. So don't you think people are wanting to be on their own faith moral guide rather than naming their religion? I feel that's how we are.
Mhm.
We don't want to be like boxed into the name of a certain religion. We have no interest in that at all. So I would agree with you. I think a lot of
Yeah, because you're going, yeah, and people stayed at home and started to actually study what their beliefs
Yeah.
were instead of, and so maybe questioning a lot of the beliefs.
Truthfully, this might upset a lot of friends and family that watch us, but truthfully, if you really, really research the origins of Mormonism and Joseph Smith, there's a lot of things that would be hard to wrap your mind around. Thank you for sharing information on this cult. Yes, I called it a cult. Yep. Thanks, Liz. I actually did a whole video on the word cult. What's in a word? It's called What's in a Word. And I really literally picked it apart about what defines a cult. And it's an absolute cult. There's just no way around it. Mormonism is a cult. The LDS Church is a cult. So anything, that is one of the things that kind of, Cory's like, oh my God, you're going to make all of our friends and family hate us. But I'm sorry, go look up the definition and by the literal Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it is. I'm not the one making that judgment. Merriam-Webster's dictionary is.
Well, it's just ticking all the boxes of what.
Yeah.
So.
And so there's really
There's
just no way
cults
around
everywhere.
it.
There really is.
There can be religious cults. And then,
Yeah,
and so in that video I go into like, what are the types of cults? Like right now there's a singer out there and she just did a world tour with a bunch of different eras. And I would say she has a cult-like following because people follow her almost in a cult status. So yeah, I absolutely agree. Lynn says, hi again. Do you think some of the wives would sabotage other wives' days by accidentally giving the wife of the day laxatives to spoil their day? I think that happens. I don't know about the laxative part of it, but yes, that happens all the time.
But yeah,
women will.
Because in your community, they were never in close proximity, I think. But
yeah, I think that women do it all the time. One of the things that used to frustrate the crap out of me. Okay, I'm going to get to this comment really quick because this is funny. High-end Lot Lizard is one of the reasons I subscribed. I would buy that merch. Thank you. That's hilarious. So my mom was a massage therapist growing up, and she owned a health food store. She would do all this stuff. And my dad would come home to her house before he'd go to someone else's house because he was hurting or his back was hurting or whatever. And she would actually fix all of that before he would go to the other wife's house. And I was like, what are you doing, woman? Why are you being so nice to him when he's not nice to you? And not that being nice is, you have to be nice for someone else to be nice to you. That's not at all what I'm saying. But it became regular. Well, I need to go have a good date night with this and such wife. Can you work on me for a minute? And then he'd come home and she'd work on him. And
my hips are locked up. Can you massage?
Oh my gosh. No, we don't have to get that. We don't have to get that detailed. But yeah. And so my mom, being the saint that she is,
would do the opposite.
Would
not sabotage
it. And she would do everything she could to make it so that he could have a nice evening with his other wives.
And her daughter did the same thing by trying to get her husband to buy roses for.
And I did the same thing by trying to get my husband to buy roses for his 16-year-old 17th birthday. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Mom. I learned
they do
that.
it both ways. So I'm sure, absolutely
Yeah.
think there's sabotage, but there's also
Yeah. And
these guys.
Antique Krista says, as someone who grew up mainstream Mormon, I was shocked with how accurate the South Park episode was. It's very true, unfortunately. I mean, I think Mormons are very, they have their head in the sand a little bit.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Nothing. I'm editing myself.
Don't edit yourself. That's why we do these lives.
Yeah, we grew up believing one way that everything came about at the beginning of the Mormon Church, and then I would talk to my mom's family, and they had similar, but a little bit different. And so then when South Park came out and did their version of it, I'm like, that's how we were raised. So, which probably offended the Mormon side of the family.
Yeah, it has.
And just peek in a hat. Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did peek in a hat.
So.
Let's see. Hello from Sweden. Oh, hi there. Thank you for joining us. Rio Pacific says, do you think Christine and David could be related? The group that escaped to Mexico to practice polygamy in the 1800s had both Allred and Woolley named family members. They possibly could. I mean, it'd be aren't we all related somehow generationally back? I mean, I feel like there's a slight chance of that, but not enough to make it weird for them.
It could be weird, but yeah, you have to do your genealogy.
You have to do your genealogy.
Those names are pretty close and have been pretty close. So.
Yeah.
Sorry. I like my last name. It's not close to any of them.
Yeah, we're not closely related to anyone in the polygamous group at all. Let's see. My mother was born in the early 50s. Oh, geez, trying to down that. Sorry. My mother was born in the early 50s. Times were hard in Norway, so they wanted to travel with their Mormon friends to the United States. Thank goodness you didn't come here. You would probably have a sister wife, to be honest. Most, it's crazy.
What year did they?
My mother was born in the early 50s, she said.
Oh, okay.
In Norway.
My mom was too.
Oh, your mom was too?
I think so.
Your mom was born in 50. No, she would not have been. She's not. Yeah, she's 70. 77. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 77. So my mother was born in the, oh wait, sorry, I already read that one. Robyn would sabotage the other wives by video texting Cody when he was at their houses with some problem or another. And that is so common. There's always, I did another video on different wives and their personalities. And there is always that one wife who always creates an emergency when it's not her night. And she will typically do it to a wife that she knows she can get away with it. And my mom, once again, I love my mom. She's on here watching, but my mom tended to be the victim of that because this other particular wife, one night, she called my dad like 30, 40 times. And my dad kept yelling at us children saying, I told you to tell her I would call her back. So then we would tell her that and she'd start screaming at us on the phone. And she would say, you go tell him right now. I need to talk to him right now. And we got caught in the back and forth of this. And it was like, we were going to get our asses kicked. Like we were going to get beat over this. And it was scary. Like it wasn't even annoying. It was scary. I had a fear for the repercussions of not having him get on the phone with her. And I think he actually finally ended up coming out and unplugging the phone. You know, obviously we didn't have caller ID or anything like that, but she blew our phone up all night long because she was so pissed. But my mom and dad were in the middle of a conversation in their room with the door locked. And she was going to have none of that. She needed to talk to him right then. And that is one of the worst things that these women can do. So I've tried really hard not to totally bash on some of these women. But when you see somebody like Robyn and she's standing there like, I don't know what happened here. That's the bullshit that they do is the video texting at night or the, I love you so much. I hope you have a good night with your, you know, just these little teeny slivers of,
I'm the favorite.
I'm the favorite wife. Don't forget I'm the favorite wife. I know you're with that woman right now, but don't forget, you know, or even sending naughty pics to some degree. What would that be? Garments without your clothes? I'm just kidding. But no, and so those are the things that they do to monopolize his time. Christine had said on one of the episodes that he would just come home for dinner and then he'd go to bed and leave again.
Sorry.
And that's exactly what will happen. Let's see.
A polygamous man should have the most solid job. Is that usually accurate?
A polygamous man would or should have the most solid job. Is that usually accurate? You would think so.
For most of the men who are trying to get wives, they do want to work hard and show that they can support more families.
Right.
And so, but then again, there are some men who write books and let their
wives
wives
work,
do the work,
and they let their children work,
yeah.
and they don't actually work.
Dang it, that would sound like it. No, there are some that work, but then there's others that aren't.
My dad was always really good about that. He always worked. We didn't have extras, but he always made sure that we had the basics, like our house was paid for. His comment was, I will pay for the house and the things to, the electricity, the power, or the gas, and then I'll pay for all the important things. And then this is what he said to my mom, then you can pay for all the rest of the stuff, because clothes, food, all that stuff's not important. And so I was fortunate that my dad at least provided all of that most of the time.
Yeah, and I want to clarify, because if I've got family watching, my dad worked super hard and he wrote books.
Oh, yeah. You thought, no,
and I was thinking about another.
That was not a direct slam on Cory's dad. He did work hard.
My dad worked hard, worked well past his retirement, where if he hadn't had wives and kids, he'd have been retired and living wealthy.
Right.
So,
right. But no.
He kept working up until in his 70s when he couldn't work anymore. He did. So.
And it is very common, unfortunately, for some of these men to just sit around on their laurels, do nothing, and they let their wives and children work. I've seen that happen a lot too. I won't even try to sugarcoat that one. And yes, a good majority of polygamous people are in MLMs, and it drives me. Utah is like the #1 capital in the world for MLMs. It drives me literally bonkers. I cannot stand MLMs. And so it's one of those things where I don't understand that mentality. Nadia says, my first live. Thank you. We're so excited. Granny Grant says, this is one of the reasons I started watching Sister Wives on TV. Yeah. Mother Baggins, really proud of your mom for leaving. So much easier said than done. It is.
It's a lot of work, a lot of years.
We wanted her to leave 20 years ago, and we're grateful that she's getting there now. Let's see. Is that common, like the Brown family, that one wife is the primary daycare for all of the other work and assist the main and assist the man financially? That's really an individualized family. Yeah. My mom worked, and there were some wives that never worked. I don't know what they ever did. But my mom always worked my entire life. I don't remember a time unless she had a baby, and then she would take 2 or 3 weeks off, but then she'd go right back. So it really depends, I think, on that individual family, what their dynamics are. And that's why when the Browns very first came out, everyone was super worried about them exposing polygamy to national television. Well, one of the things I was saying was the Browns are one of the more functional families, because that's what they would do. They would support each other. There'd be one wife doing all that, all the kids, one wife doing the main work, another wife. And so they were really cohesive in that way, that they worked together. And that's why I always thought they were such a great family to watch. And I was like, they're going to kill it on national television. They're going to be amazing. And people are going to, although I would never, ever condone polygamy in a million years, and I would never recommend it, and I would never condone it, but I thought they would be the one family that could show the love that a family can have. And that blew up. Yeah. So yeah. Is it, well, Cody answered every time. That's a difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Answered Robyn every
time.
And
Cody answered the phone every time Robyn did something like that. And that's the difference. I think too, in today's world, where we are so easily accessible, everybody has a phone on them. It's so easy to grab his attention from her and pull it back onto you if you wanted it. Mm-hmm. Where back in the day, it was like, how long my dad fought getting a cell phone? because he did not want these women being able to contact him whenever he wanted, whenever they felt the need. He didn't want that. And so he avoided getting a cell phone for a long time for that reason. And rightfully so, because some of these women just blow his phone up 24/7. And I can't even imagine the straight up hell that man has to deal with that. Sometimes I get super frustrated with my dad over so much. And then other times I'm just like, that poor man. Oh, but it's self-inflicted. So can't feel that sorry for him. Robyn said she had learned from her mom. I know Alice gets a lot of online hate. It's funny. I don't know Alice very well. I met her in a class one time, and she introduced herself. And of course, she knew who my dad was. And I was sitting with my mom, and she introduced herself to us. And my husband over here was like, "Oh God, no." And I was just like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm Robyn Brown's mom." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so then she friend requested me on social media. So I've been friends with her on social media for a few years, which has been great. Like, I mean, I don't know her well enough to say anything one way or the other about her, but I've just really heard not some nice things. Not from Cory, just from online.
Thanks for the clarification.
I know. I'm like, oh shit, does it sound like I just threw Cory under the bus? I can see that having a lot of children would be family-free labor. There is a huge difference between free work and chores. Child labor work is wrong. I agree with you on that one. I agree with you. If anybody watches Ben Brown, sorry, it's getting hot in here. If anyone watches Ben Brown, he talks about being labor trafficked through their family farm. And I've wondered how much of that really is just like chores. You know, everyone has to help out and do their thing. And then how much of it is labor trafficking?
Well, because, yeah, if he was child labored, then we definitely were too. We farmed a 13-acre piece of land. I changed pipes on it every morning and every night, and then we'd harvest and put stuff in. All my brothers did that. We worked as soon as we were big enough to pick up stuff. We were working, helping provide for the family.
And we were too. I mean, even though we were city kids down here, I mean, I was ironing people's clothes for them, babysitting for them. I mean, this is part of being in a big family.
They were just chores for us.
Yeah, we didn't know the difference between chores and labor trafficking.
Something that we had to do so that our house was warm. We had food.
Yeah.
All the stuff. So.
Yeah. Somebody says, Robyn. Okay. Hello. Hey, Cletus O'Malley. That's a great name. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Belle says, wow, she introduced herself as Robyn Brown's mom. That's so interesting. She did. Yeah, she definitely introduced herself. My mom and I didn't know who she was. I had never heard of Robyn before the show. Never. So yeah, when I saw her come on the screen, everyone in the AUB watched the show when it first premiered. And the minute she came in on the screen, that's when Cory went, oh, that family's screwed.
Ben was running the bakery preteen.
Yeah, so they had a family bakery up in on the ranch up there in Wyoming.
So he was in a nice warm bakery preteen. We were out in the cold changing pipes.
What are you complaining about? We were working the land.
It was kind of cool because my younger brother and I would change the pipes, and it was preteen. I was probably, we were 10, 11.
Yeah.
And him and I would carry a pipe down and had to do it. And we thought we were going, oh my gosh, then the next year we could carry him by ourselves. We built up that muscle and strength. But the first time we changed pipes, we'd have to he would carry one end, I'd carry the other. And then by the time we were 12, 13, we'd build up enough muscle. We were doing that by ourselves and just change a row of pipes by ourselves pretty quickly. So
yeah,
these
guys worked their butts off.
I was chopping wood, it would be probably in today.
If you look back at it, would you say that it was?
Well, yeah, because I have sons, but they have chores too. But Yeah, they've lived a little bit different. Life,
Yeah,
so.
our kids will be like, hold on,
Take
Dad,
down the
I gotta
garbage."
finish. I gotta finish this one battle that I'm on my video game. I'll get to the garbage in a minute. If I ever said something like that, I would have been backhanded into next week.
Yeah.
We were not. Yeah, it was like you did not question whether you had to get your chores done or not.
Yeah, it was just something that I had to do. So.
Yeah. Somebody says, hi guys, hi Buffy, thanks for being here.
And I enjoyed actually doing that because it got me out of the house with 9 women in it. So we were always trying to leave to go do chores, whatever that's changing.
Can you imagine like the, well, you can.
We were always gone out of the house.
You walk into that house, what would you do like if you walked into your house and there's literally that flower fight going on and they're throwing flowers at each other, calling each other names?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like, I would die laughing. I'd probably fall on the floor, dying laughing, being like, are you women serious right now? You're really going after each other?
Us kids were placing bets. That's why we learned gambling and betting at a young age.
Gosh.
Which wife was going to win the fight.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. I have heard a lot of physical altercations that have happened between different wives. I've heard some pretty horrendous stories where these women will literally just go kick the crap out of each other out of a fit of rage and jealousy. Growing up, we were encouraged and told we needed to donate 10% to the church. And if you can't afford the 10%, you donated 10% of your time to help others. What does the AUB suggest, expect as a donation? Same thing. And if you couldn't afford it, then you would donate 10% of your time or your talents. Corey over here.
For the hierarchy, got 10%.
Corey's like, you guys were loved.
20%.
Corey's family apparently did 10% and then 10% surplus.
10% surplus.
I'm going to ask his mom will be here tonight. She's coming to stay with us. I'm going to ask her if that's legit.
And that was in the finance. That was you had to pay the 20% of any monies you earned, and you were still required to do the time part of it too. We'd have work projects where we would go cut the wood and stock up wood on the widows within the community. That we had an area where all the widows lived, and we did those work projects every weekend to go take care of those widows. So time, so that's even more. 20% of our money, and probably
10% of
7% of our time.
Yeah.
One day a week. So. And
I paid tithing from the time I was really little. Obviously, it wasn't a significant amount until I got older. And part of the thing about the AUB is if you're a good tithe payer, you can pretty much get away with whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. Because the AUB.
They're trying to raise their kids to be hard workers.
Yeah.
And so get a good work ethic.
Well, that's what somebody says. It did create a good work ethic. I feel like we are hard workers, and kids today are soft. They don't know what it's like to go out there and actually do a good day's work, a physically challenging good day's work. Let's see. Was Robyn really a model? I have no idea. I honestly have no clue. I've never even heard of diesel jeans. So if they did have diesel jeans, like I have no idea. I never even saw Robyn until she came onto the screen. I mean, I'm not saying she's not pretty, but I don't know. I wouldn't put her as model material, but I don't want to judge another woman's looks. I just, in the AUB too, it's not like very common for you to be able to go out and do something like that, because it would go against some of the teachings. Ben said he was working 12 hours a day in the family bakery by the age of 8 up at 3:30 a.m. I could believe that. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely see that would be, it's just, but it wasn't like, it was just expected because it was a family business. And so the whole family had to contribute and help.
And I guess ours would be business. Ours, we grew
alfalfa.
We grew the farm stuff. We did we didn't get paid. It was just part of doing it. But they usually bartered. Everything was bartered because we were growing the potatoes and had the chickens and the turkeys. We would barter with the dairy and the cows for hamburger and stuff like that. So
yeah. Somebody says, I don't think it was a nice cookie smelling bakery, more like bread factory. Kids are soft these days for sure. Yeah, they are. I worked at, so it's funny because I'm related to a lot of the Dargers, and the Dargers had a big bakery, and I started working in that bakery at 14 and went in there and helped do a lot of that stuff. And I started at, I'm pretty sure I was 14, not quite, I was probably 6 months away from being 15. It just seems like that could happen to the kids. Yeah, it definitely can. Especially if you have a family owned and operated business, then yes, that very much can happen to those kids. You can get lost in the shuffle. Yeah. She did one catalog job. So Robyn did one catalog job. I mean, then that would qualify you as a model, I guess, because you did one job. So could you feed your family off the modeling that you did? Probably not, but you could always say you modeled. Just did a quick Google search, and their pics are only the waist down. Oh, that was me right there. I swear. You could claim any set of legs you want. That's hilarious. I've heard Robyn was what, 5'10" or 5'8", 5'9". So I don't know. If she was even tall enough to model. I mean, I'm 6'2" and I'm too tall to model, because my legs are too long. I have a 39-inch inseam. So my legs are very, very long. So we're actually not going to stay on too long tonight. We're at 1 hour and 10 minutes right now. Just because we do have family coming in from out of town for the next 10 days, but we will still be getting on lives. We're just going to make them a little bit shorter. Because we get on these lives and we love chatting and we love answering the questions, and then we'll just get going. Also, it'll be 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, Julianne, I agree.
What'd she say?
Pretty sure Robyn wasn't a diesel jeans model. I think it was just a figure of speech.
Yeah, I think so too, honestly.
It was coded speech, Cody speech.
Right. And somebody says, Julianne says, way back in the old days, if you were Catholic and had more than 4 boys, it was pressured that some boy needed to be a priest. Yeah. That's not good. Somebody says, blame yourself if we don't love you. That's so true. And then Cory's facial expressions. Cory's facial expressions. I can just talk, and then he'll, in the background, tell you what he's really thinking. Yeah. Somebody says 6'2" is crazy. Let me borrow a few inches. I'm only 5'2". LOL. Yeah, we are a very tall family. It's funny. I just came across a TikTok channel the other day. It's called the Tall Family or something like that. And where the mom's like 5'10", but they do have a daughter that's 6'2", and the dad's like 6'5". And I'm like, oh my God, you guys aren't that tall. So we have a son who's 6'9", another son who is tipping on 6'10", 6'8". We have a daughter who's tipping on 6'3". She's just slightly taller than me. I'm 6'2". And then we have the runt of our family, and she's 5'11". And she's always like, for her whole life, it's funny because she did like a, what is it called? Like an experiment in school. And she read if coffee or an apple would give you more energy. So if you ate a whole apple one morning or a whole cup of coffee, would you have more energy? So then she did all the research on coffee, and we weren't huge coffee drinkers because that's just part of, whatever. And then she read coffee stunts your growth. And so that kid drank coffee like water because she did not want to be 6'2" like her mom. And so she is now our short girl at 5'11". And now she's like, whatever, I'm tall. And she's always trying to be over 6 feet. She's just really not. And I'm like, it's that coffee. It's why God told you not to drink coffee. It's why it's against the word of wisdom. So let's see.
I drank it and I'm still 6'2", but I am the runt of my family. So
yeah. Somebody says, Cory says so much. I'm glad you're on YouTube instead of just audio. Yeah. Cory's facial expressions. So there's days where we're having like serious conversations with the kids, or like we're trying to figure shit out, and Cory's in the background. I'm like, no, seriously, wipe that off your face. We gotta have this conversation. And he's over there dying laughing. And then of course we can't have a serious conversation with our kids.
Yeah, I had the principal call me from school one day.
Oh my gosh.
Because of one of my sons. And so I just started asking questions, and
he stomped a male anatomy part into the snow in front of the school. And it wasn't small. It was it took the entire like soccer field.
Which was a no-no.
Which was a big no-no. So he got suspended for the day. And he's like, and my son was like, call my dad. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. So
Cory laughed and laughed.
Well,
and
I just was
laughed.
asking the question. So is this part of an art project? What's the thing? And the principal's laughing. I'm like, yep, what's the punishment? So
he's like, he's got to come home from school from the day. And Cory's like, send him on home.
Yeah, we'll get him working, doing some stuff around here. So
he walks to the door and Cory high-fived him. I'm like, oh
don't
my
do
gosh.
that again. Don't like the phone calls, but
don't do it again. But it's hilarious. What made you think of stomping a male body part into the snow? And he's like, oh no, I thought it would be funny. Yeah. He's passed on his sense of humor to our children. Yeah. So I've been loving your content. It's great. Thanks for sharing your life experience. Gave your channel a shout out on mine as we all talk about all things sister wives. Oh, thank you. I actually think I do follow you too, Red. It's a Red Lipstick Reality TV. I do believe I follow you too. You what?
Well, they just said that love listening to our live experience in Pop Psych. Yeah, I like Pop Psych.
Cory is obsessed with Pop Psych. He has been watching them for way before we started talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I like his point of view. It's
yeah.
Also nice therapy for me growing up in the place.
Yeah, so. Cory loves following their channel. Yeah. My husband's sisters are all 6 foot or taller. He's the shortest of 12 kids at 5'10". It's funny. Yeah, Cory's the shortest at 6'2". Yeah. He's his mom's shortest.
I'm the runt.
Yep. My mom always said that coffee will turn your knees black. Oh my gosh. What about your elbows? Let's see. The real hero here is Cory, probably. Yep. Somebody says their son is 6'5". Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, our one son, my dad is 6'8" and my mom is 6 foot. Well, she's no longer 6 foot, but she used to be 6 foot. She's got scoliosis now, but so she's gone a little bit shorter. I'm always telling her, I'm always kind of pat her on the head and tell her how short she is now. But my dad has always been the tallest, and now he's got several sons and grandsons who are now taller than him. And I think we have a 7-footer now too, who came over here the other night, and we put a bunch of the boys next to each other and took pictures. And this one I think is tipping 7 feet now, and he is barely 18. So I'm curious to see where he's going to go. Somebody says, I thought my 36 inch seam was hard to find pants for. Oh man, it's a beast. I won't even lie. Then try to be pregnant on top of that. It was a good thing I know how to sew and could make most of my own clothes. And then try to wear garments on top of that. So when I've had my first 2 babies, it was so hard because I wore long garments, and then I was 6'2", and then trying to find anything that would fit me, I had to make 90% of my maternity clothes because I couldn't find anything in the store that would accommodate how tall I am. So somebody says, you must do a show together with Pop Psych. He would love that. Oh my gosh, Cory would love that.
Yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of his content. So
yeah,
I would love to talk to him. So
yeah. If anyone knows him, maybe we'll reach out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the sons, and the daughters, sons and daughters of polygamists. We grow up with a lot more empathy towards our mothers. So
yeah.
So I have empathy towards my dad and some of the stuff that he went through, but I definitely have empathy and I didn't want to be superior over a wife. I wanted an equal partner. So because I saw sometimes how it wasn't equal in our family.
Yeah, somebody made a comment the other day, and he's like, somebody made a comment about Cory treating me as an equal, and I'm like, he goes, you are welcome. You are welcome. And I'm like, thanks, Sonny, for lowering your IQ a little bit so we could be on the same level.
No.
Getting rid of a little bit of your priesthood power so we could share the same stage.
I got that all taken away so that I could be an equal. So
I know. Great. But he will say that sometimes just to trigger me. Yeah. Good thing you're listening to your priesthood power over here.
But I am kind of trying to get back up equal with her now that her dad's a prophet. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, I have more royalty than you do now.
she does.
That's right. Okay. Ooh, I finally caught a live. Thanks, Boots on the Ground, for being here. We're actually just about to wrap up, but we love that. We love answering the questions. Oh, thank you. I'll send you his email, PopPsych, that is. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We have been getting so many interview requests right now. I'm trying to get back to all of them. We have probably had a dozen in the last like 2-3 weeks, and we've done a couple of them. We did growing up in polygamy. We did that one. So they have an interview there. Our audio was horrible, and I'm so sad about that. So we might have to redo something with them. But yeah, I would, we've been wanting to collab with anyone who wants to, because I feel like it's just a way to get our story out there a little bit more. Sister Wives content is not necessarily what our focus is. We talk about it because that's what the general population knows, but really telling our own stories and our own experiences is really where we're going with this more. And so let's see, I only have 6 more episodes of Big Love. I don't want it to end. I know, well, we just started watching it again. We just finished episode 2 of the 1st season. So we're just getting started on that merry-go-round again. Somebody says, I thought polygamy started because of times of war with high male absenteeism and mortality. Polygamy supports population growth and replenishes by ensuring that every female can find a mate. And I'm sure there's times in history where that is why it's been lived, but Joseph Smith restored it as the highest law of God's commandments. So that's not why it was established in Mormonism. That's not why Mormonism was established.
It had more nefarious.
Somebody said that. Oh my God, somebody did a comment about nefarious something or other. I was dying laughing. That's what we need to do. We need to create a t-shirt that says nefarious on it.
Nefarious.
Yeah. I think you two have fantastic vibes together. Strong man and a strong woman making it work together. I love it. Oh, thank you. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point in our relationship for sure. I mean, we've always had super good connection. Ever since, it's funny, one time somebody asked, how long have you two been married? And I don't know, what were we, 6 years into it or something? And they're like, oh my gosh, I would have put you at the honeymoon stage. I'm like, well, we are. We've only been together 6 years. What are you talking about? We got a long ways to go. And so, yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to my nefarious revelation.
Yeah, I got you, babe. Let's see. So I will rewatch. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh darn it, I missed it. I'll rewatch. Yeah, I believe it just automatically gets posted to YouTube under the live category. So feel free. And again, we're gonna start wrapping up here. But again, one of our goals is to really hit 10,000 followers before the end of the year. So if you can share us, that'd be awesome. You know, whatever. Yeah. If you like our content, liking it and sharing it out there really helps us to meet that goal.
My dad was a Vietnam vet, so he might have come after the war and let's repopulate the earth, and he did.
That might be why your dad
his fair share. So.
Somebody says, do you like, besides PopPsych, do you have creators that you like? I like James. My mom loves James. She sends me all his videos. I'm like, Mom, I can go onto YouTube and find that, but she loves him and she loves his commentary. So she would love to see us go on that one. Let's see. I don't really know for sure, but I do think that there was some controlled polygamy after the war. Very possibly. Yeah. Great job. Good night. Boots on the ground. I tell everyone to follow you. I loved the balanced information. Thank you. Recently watched Secrets of Polygamy from A&E. Did or does the AUB have a militia? So that's a loaded question. And we are actually going to go live. Well, I don't think we can talk about that on the other channel. I thought that episode was completely ridiculous, completely blown out of proportion. And if you consider, I'm just going to throw some controversial shit out there before we wrap this up. But my mom says yes for James. She wants us to do James. So yeah, if anyone knows James, you can send him our way because my mom absolutely adores him. With the militia thing, you know that Mormon Church has what's called Boy Scouts of America. And that's what they teach their kids. They take them out. They teach them bow hunting. They teach them all of that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that the LDS Church has a militia. And so that's really kind of where I'm going to.
So I was raised in the AUB, and I did get my marksman merit badge in Scouts.
So you were an
And
Eagle Scout, right?
I didn't make an Eagle Scout, but then I also got my hunter safety license
I took my kids to get their hunter
Required-
safety license. I don't know that they're in militia.
in Montana, and learned hunter safety. But again, the last time I was part of the AUB was 35 years ago, or yeah.
Right.
So they never had a militia when I was growing up in it, and if they did, we were never invited to join. So,
Well,
but yeah,
and part of it too, the prophet was murdered,
yeah,
and he was gunned down in his office, which is Christine's grandfather. He actually was the doctor who delivered me and Cory. And he was murdered. They have every right to be concerned about other polygamous communities coming after them.
So
And
they might have something that we don't know about.
But do they have a militia to come up against the? No, I would be very, very, very surprised by that. But that doesn't make good headlines, and that doesn't make good storytelling. And so there's a couple content creators who love to pound that in there because but you could even see in that particular episode that you're talking about, he goes and interviews one of the daughters of the person who supposedly started the militia, which I know him. And so I don't know his daughter that well, but I know of her. And she was like, you could see the panic in her face. Like, you're making this out to be something that this is not. That's not what I said this was. And so even she backed up with it.
Yeah.
And so she said, she felt very uncomfortable with the way that her dad was being portrayed as creating something that wasn't necessarily there. So just because the LDS Church has Boy Scouts does not make the LDS Church have a militia. Just because they teach their boys how to shoot and hunt and does not mean that they have a full-on militia. So I thought that was a bullshit episode, to be totally honest, and I thought it was way over exaggerated. And there is an episode of Escaping Polygamy. Oh, yep, somebody at Boots on the Ground just said that Escaping Polygamy also had an episode about the AUB militia. What a joke. And from my understanding, that's why Escaping Polygamy got canceled, was because of the things that were said on that episode, is because they were so blown out of proportion and so misleading that, and I'm not a defender of the AUB. I am not. But if there is something that should be said, it should be at least said, as correctly as possible.
Yeah. They could.
I know, right? I know. It's one of those
I grew up
subjects.
with the kid that did that.
Oh.
And if they were in a militia, I would have never been a part of that because I'd have been afraid to get shot in the butt. So
yeah,
I don't think his hunter safety skills were on point. So,
yeah.
I laughed
I know.
when I saw it.
And him and his wife, well, he only has one wife now. He left with the two wives, and one of them, I know one of them left him, and he still has the other wife. And so we knew all of those people and their families directly. They did not have to escape polygamy. They could have just gotten in their car and drove. With the AUB, you do not have to escape polygamy like that. You just get in your car and you drive away.
Yeah.
And you just walk away. And
escaping polygamy helps you pay for the U-Haul.
If you can't afford a van to move your family to Idaho, then you go get on a TV show to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to discount someone else's experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to discount someone else's trauma. But in the AUB, you do not have to escape. You can get in your car and leave. Now, that being said, there are some individual families where they can take some things to the extreme. Yeah. And then those fathers can come in. But as an overall teaching of the AUB, you do not have to escape the AUB. You just get in your car and leave. Or you just stop going to church. Or you just stop participating in activities.
Most of escaping polygamy or AUB is a mental. It really is. It's a mental. You really have to question the way you were raised, the way you believe, and risk going to hell to leave. So
Yeah, you have
it's
to
a
really-
mental game to try to get out of polygamy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, okay,
Some people might have physical.
that kind of ended on a little more of a
So dark,
controversial
yeah,
subject.
sorry.
No, it's like, I think we should talk about these things because, you know, people will watch Cory and I and think that we're full of shit because that wasn't their experience. And I watch some other people and I think they're full of shit because that wasn't my
Yeah.
experience. And so I know that there's been like family members that have watched us and they've been critical of the things that we have said because that's not what they've experienced. And they're like, well, they're not out there telling the truth because that's not, I didn't have that kind of experience, especially when I talk about women are property in the AUB. That caused a lot of people to be super upset with me. But that was my experience and that was experience of a good amount of people that I watched. So anyways,
Yep.
Long explanation of the AUB militia. It makes for good stories. It makes for salacious headlines. It makes it for you getting on a TV show that moved your family for free. Doesn't necessarily make it true.
Yeah. But again, we don't know exactly. It might have been his experience. So
Right.
I just haven't seen the people that I would probably expect from the AUB to maybe be in militia aren't in the
Right.
militia.
Right.
So more skilled and more educated people, ex-military, stuff like that.
Right.
Is who I would assume would be in it. But
Right. Boy Scouts of America, I wouldn't necessarily consider those training options militia. And I understand that the guy who came in was ex-military,
yeah,
but I have a hard time believing in that. And this is where some creators will come after me and they'll say, oh, they can't ever break away from their AUB, mentality, and they'll defend the AUB. I will never defend the AUB. I don't agree with what they're doing. I would never recommend the AUB to anybody. I am absolutely a cult survivor from the AUB, and so is Cory. But that doesn't mean that what has been focused on television is true and correct.
If there comes out more evidence that they have a militia, cool. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Other than a couple patches,
Yeah. So, okay, a lot of people have said Cody has sold firearms for years to make money during Sister Wives. Do you know if that's true? I have no idea.
I have no clue.
I have no idea about that. And then Cheryl says, your reach is extensive. I heard Red Lipstick, which she's on here right now. Thank you. Gaming Mom and Senior Perspective all give you shout outs. Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
And if
Thank
any of
you,
them want to
guys.
do a
Thank you for
collab,
the shout
they
out.
can call us and we're happy to do chat. Oh shoot, I'm going to have to watch the replay. I saw your interview with Sam and Melissa yesterday. Very powerful. Thank you. Some creators really just won. Yeah. And okay, thanks, Julianne. We're going to end this on, do you like sweet potatoes for Thanksgiving? My very favorite part of Thanksgiving. This guy hates vegetables.
No, I like vegetables, just not sweet potato pie.
Right.
So I'll let her eat all that. They can have the pumpkin pie and the sweet potato pie. So
right. So thank you guys all so much for our surprise live. We're going to figure out how to actually plan these and schedule them on YouTube. And then we will be doing a couple more of these. We're going to try to go live. We're taking some time off of our day jobs for the next couple days. So I think you're going to see us a lot more.
Yeah. We'll
popping
come
up.
on.
So everybody have a great night.
All
Thanks.
right. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.